Hello there, welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. I'm here today with a little Fun Fold Friday with our new Legendary Ride stamp set. I have several people in my life who love to ride their motorcycles, and so this was a perfect set for me to get for birthday cards for this year. One of them has a birthday in January and his card is going to be a little late, but it is in the mail. I have got it out. But anyway, this was the card that I designed, and it does have, it's got a little extra something. It stands on its own, however it lays flat to go in an envelope. And they call this a bendy card because this piece right here bends when it kind of helps, it's actually the foot that's help holding it up so it stands up. But the bend or the fold part is just these two pieces. And really, there's nothing special to it. It's just two pieces that are folded in opposite directions and they pull against each other and pull the card out and make it hold up like this. So it's very, very simple to do. And I'm going to show you how to do it really quickly. So let me get this out of the way. I will have all the measurements on my blog, but this is just a quarter sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. So 5.5 by 4.25. This piece here I have already embossed with the cool, oh, I forgot the name of it. Excuse me, the embossing folder that goes with this suite. And I will have a link to it, but I've already embossed. This is a piece of smoky slate. Embossed that with it. I'm going to go ahead and adhere those two together. Excuse me. I haven't really talked at all today, other than to the dogs, and apparently talking is going to make me start coughing. Alright, there we go. We've got our Stampin' Seal on there. I'm going to go ahead. Now you notice I did all 4 edges, and that is because this piece is embossed, and so it's not going to want to lay flat. So in order to get it to stay flat on your design, you want to go ahead and make sure you have adhesive on all 4 edges there. Go ahead and center that. Okay, and then once this is on, now I want to go ahead and score, because I want to score through both pieces of this paper. So let me grab my paper trimmer really quick, and I'm going to go ahead and flip it over upside down. This just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm going to go to 2 3/4, which is, something is on my, I keep feeling something roll there. 2 3/4 is halfway between, halfway of 5.5 inches. So 2 3/4. And I'm going to give it a really, really good push down here, good score. Because you're going through 2 sheets of cardstock there. In fact, I'm actually going to flip it over and I'm going to score on the same area. I can see the line that I scored before. There we go. Make sure that's got a nice score on it. And then we simply want to fold it in half. There we go. And I don't even have to use my bone folder to burnish it because we really kind of want it to pop out. We don't necessarily want it to lay flat. So there we go. That piece is done. I will need this in a minute. However, the next piece we need is this piece here, and it is, I am not sure the measurements, 5 by 3.5, I believe, but again, I'll have the measurements in the bottom. And I have scored it already 1/2 inch on either side. We will put another score right down the middle, but right now we want to stamp on it and we want that stamp to come out nice. So we'll do the scoring after we stamp. The other thing, I am also going to get out my Stamparatus for this. Now, the Stamparatus I don't use all the time, but as I've mentioned many times before, I do love it when I'm stamping words, especially words that are in our cling stamps, because you can't see through them to make sure they're straight. But I also like it for this case. We have an image that has a lot of solid color, and oftentimes you'll find that your first impression, the first time you stamp down, is not going to give you a nice solid coloring. And we want it to, so you want to be able to stamp it twice. And obviously if you're stamping with a block, lining it back up the second time is nearly impossible. However, if you're using the Stamparatus, it's not impossible. It actually is very simple. So I'm going to line up both of these on here where I want them. That's the other reason I went ahead and put the score lines in there, so that I have a reference mark to center that. And I am kind of putting my motorcycle slightly up because where that bendy piece is going to cover the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp or push this down so that it's on there. And then I want to make sure my words look pretty straight. Yes, I think we're good. And now I'm gonna go ahead and get out my Memento Black. Oh, it is stuck. Come here, there we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and ink this up. Make sure it's well inked. And sometimes, I mean, sometimes when you're stamping a stamp like this with lots of solid areas, if you have a super inky ink pad, it will give you a nice solid image. However, sometimes the ink will then pool, is that the word I'm trying to say? P-O-O-L, pool into all of those little fine lines, and then those end up disappearing on you. So you don't want it super, super inky, but at the same time, you want to get a nice solid image. So as you see when I stamped the first time, whoop, oh, see, that one didn't even stamp at all because I didn't push very hard. But even here where I push nice, it's got a lot of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like shadowy. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna re-ink this back up again. And because we have it tucked into the corner there, it should line up just perfect. And we can get a nice deep image. We re-stamp this again. Try that. And there we go. And you know what? I'm gonna do a third time right here. My Memento ink, I think, needs to be re-inked. I'm thinking that's the case here. Let's try one more try. And there we go. Now I have a much nicer, much more solid image. I like that much better. Okay, and then I've already prepared, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this one in a second. I've already prepared this piece because on this card here, there's nowhere to write except on the back. So here I put this on the back side for us to write a little note, and that piece has already been ready. I've already lined this up. Got it ready to go. And the reason I'm doing it in this direction, oh, that's stamped pretty nicely on the first try. The reason I'm doing this direction instead of this way is because oftentimes if you're stamping very close to this hinge, you don't get a very good image right close to it. So by going this way, I'm stamping far enough away from the hinge that I will get a nice good image. I don't have to push as hard down. All right, so that is that. I think all of our stamping is finished. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling the last part. I do need to do one more score line, as I said. We need to score this right in the middle. And since this is 5 inches across, that means I need to score it at 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and go right here and score that right across my image at 2.5 inches. Okay, then we're just going to go ahead and fold, and fold, and fold. I'm going to get out my tear and tape. We're going to put a piece right here. And I'm going to put a piece over here. Alright, and before I adhere that, I'm going to go ahead, since I have this out, my last 2 pieces, I have a piece of orange. This is a 1 inch by 6.5, and I've scored it 1/2 inch on either side. And then this is a piece of the Designer Series paper, and it is 6 inches, and I did that simply because I wanted to be able to get 2 pieces off of a 12-inch length. So it's a little bit shorter than this, but that's okay. It's going to tuck under there nicely anyway. What do I do with my adhesive? There it is. I want to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of this, making sure I get some on the 2 ends especially, so they'll stay tucked in there. And then I'm just going to kind of center this. Center it definitely top to bottom, but also side to side. And you could cut a piece of DSP that goes all the way to 6.5 inches, but like I said, I wanted to get 2 out of 1 strip, and 6 inches is it. So then I just need to fold where I've already scored that, and we're gonna go ahead and put some tear and tape, making sure you get the tear and tape right next to, close to that fold. And oop, that's a little long. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off, the backing off of here. Whoops, come here backing, oh, come here tool. There we go. And then I'm going to stick this extra piece that I have down here to make sure that orange also has some adhesive on it. If I can get the backing off. There we go. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put another strip on that. The reason I took the backing off is because it's going to overlap that first piece a little bit. There we go. So that's ready to go. This is ready to go. Now on this one, I'm only going to take the adhesive off one side first. Just makes it a little bit easier for me to put this down. So I'm going to make sure that these two seams or two creases line up nice. And I'm going to hold this still and I'm just going to tuck this side under. And I do have it slightly, you can see it's a little closer to the top than it is at the bottom. There we go. Oh, I've got a little bit of orange showing there from my tear and tape. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the adhesive off this side and tuck it under. Okay, and then this bottom one, you see how it already is pulling it? See how it's doing that? It just pulls it up. And then this one though doesn't have any creases in the middle. It's just going to simply bend. It's not going to fold. So I tuck that in. I'm going to put it on the very edge. Make sure it's at the very bottom. And then go to this side and do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that it is at the very bottom and at the edge. Okay, and our card is almost finished. We just need to put our sentiment area for us to write a little note on. And you can decide if you want it on the right or the left of your piece. I'm going to put mine on this side because it's the side you usually write on a card when you open a card. And technically I suppose you could put a white piece on both, but I just put one on one. And there you go. There's our finished card. Now you notice on this one here, this is a skinnier piece of the DSP. This is a more wide piece, and that's just the way the DSP lined up. I guess you can't see it with it. Probably has some. There we go. So just depending on how wide the strips were, I just cut so that it would be within the 1-inch range. But you could also make them a little wider if you want. Totally up to you. But I liked either way with the 2 or the 1. So, oh, one last thing I almost forgot. As you can see here, I wanted to pull this orange up a little higher. So to do that, I simply took our pumpkin pie blends and I took the brush tip end and I just kind of went across it like that and just kind of highlighted the words with that orange and kind of pulled the color up. So there you go. Finished card, our Fun Fold Friday. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, God's love and blessings. Bye!